The cuffs clicked too tight. My face pressed against the hood of my own car, paint still warm from the sun, now streaked with sweat and irony. Red and blue lights smeared across the windshield. I didn't speak, didn't fight, didn't blink. "Sir, we got a call. Woman said there's a prowler, said you were threatening her." I smiled. Not out of joy, out of the dead, empty space where fear used to live. Then I heard the smallest voice in the world, calm, cold, exact. "Officer Uncle, check the name on the address plaque of this house." The silence that followed wasn't confusion, it was recognition. The officer leaned over, squinting. I watched his body stiffen as if a wire had been pulled tight in his spine. His hand trembled as he reached for the keys. Click. The cuffs fell away. "Sir, we're sorry, deeply sorry." But I wasn't listening anymore. I was watching her, standing on the porch, her arms folded, fake tears drying on a face that used to swear it loved me. The same face that once promised me forever, then taught our son how to lie. And I realized she hadn't called the cops to scare me. She called them because I scared her. It began 2 years ago, after the divorce. Not the legal one, the emotional one. The kind you don't sign for, just slip into like cold water. You stop laughing, stop asking questions. You sleep on the far side of the bed, and when the silence grows teeth, you learn how to bleed quietly. She left with our son, moved into the house her parents paid for. Said she needed space, said I was too much. I believed her. Until I saw him, our son, standing at the edge of a parking lot, clinging to a man I'd never met. The man kissed her cheek, and my son called him Dad. She saw me, didn't flinch, just turned and walked away. That night I stared at my ceiling, wondering when exactly I'd been erased. A week later, I knocked on the door to drop off birthday gifts. She opened it, barely. "He's not home," she said. "You can leave those here." No eye contact, no invitation. And behind her, I saw it. His tiny backpack on the sofa, and 2 wine glasses beside it. I didn't scream, didn't confront. I took the long road, quietly. Every pickup, every drop-off became surveillance. I tracked patterns, logged calls, watched shadows shift behind curtains. Then I went deeper. I filed to update the custody agreement, used the legal system like she used the police, as a weapon dressed like justice. I spoke softly in court, smiled in mediation, but my heart was a wire pulled tight. I planted questions in our son's bedtime stories, slipped subtle truths between sentences. And when he began to ask questions, real ones, I knew the tide was turning. DNA confirmed what I feared. He was mine, but she was letting someone else pretend. And the worst part? She taught our son to accept it, to call him Dad, to forget. I didn't give her the DNA report. I gave it to my lawyer. Then I waited. The custody hearing wasn't dramatic. It was sterile. Words like manipulation, parental alienation, and emotional conditioning were tossed around by men in suits pretending they cared. But when the judge looked at me and said, "You are granted primary custody," I didn't smile. I looked at her, and she broke, right there in the courtroom. Tears, sobbing, rage boiling behind mascara. "You set me up!" I didn't reply. I stood, adjusted my coat, and held out my hand. My son took it without hesitation. We walked out, step by step, out of her lie. Weeks passed. She begged to see him, wrote long emails about misunderstanding and redemption, asked for second chances, claimed it was just confusion. I ignored them. Until today, when I drove to drop off forgotten homework at her doorstep, and she called the police, called me a prowler, in front of our son. That was her last move, her final desperate attempt to paint herself as the victim. And it failed, because he saw it. He knew. And when he calmly corrected the officer, when he said, "That's our house, my dad lives there now," I saw something fracture behind her eyes. She didn't cry. She just stood there, hollow, watching us walk away. That night my son asked, "Will she get in trouble?" I said, "No." But truth has a way of haunting people longer than prison ever could. He nodded, said nothing more. I tucked him into bed, kissed his forehead, turned off the light. Then I sat in the dark and listened to the silence. It didn't hurt anymore. She tried to erase me from his life. Instead, she erased herself from both of ours. Not with a scream, but with a whisper no one would ever believe again. And I slept that night, for the first time in years, without waking up to remember what was taken, because now it was mine again.